The most recent PlayStation PC port was Spider-Man 2, and the results on Steam Deck were inconsistent to say the least. Yes, it technically worked, but mileage varied drastically, and there were a lot of concessions that needed to be made. The good news is that right out of the box, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered comes with a graphics mode titled Steam Deck. It has most of the settings already set to low values, and although the results might not look as good as I remember them from 2020, it works well enough and it maintains a solid 30 FPS. The biggest sacrifice being made is the frame rate and the character models. However, with a little tweaking further into the graphics and visual settings, you can improve the visuals, the frame rate, and have a much better overall experience. Also, like most demanding titles on the Steam Deck, you're not going to get much out of each battery charge, as you can hear the fan working on overtime. Feel free to adjust the settings as you see fit, but after a good amount of tweaking, here's what I found provided the most balanced experience between visuals and performance with The Last of Us Part 2 on Steam Deck. Under graphics, increase level of detail and texture quality to high, shadows to low, image-based lighting off, bounce lighting off, ambient occlusion off, reflections either low or off, refraction medium, motion blur off, bloom off, particle low, volumetric low, lens flare off, chromatic aberration off, and film grain off. Under display, set the frame rate cap to 60, turn off VSync, and use upscale method FSR 3.1.0. After adjusting these settings, the visuals look noticeably better. It's not how you should experience the game, but it's more than serviceable on Steam Deck. With the adjustments, you're able to have a higher frame rate of the low 50s for the most part, with slight dips into the high 40s, which aren't that noticeable. You could probably achieve closer to 60, but the visual sacrifices would be far too great. As for the game itself, it currently holds a 93 on OpenCritic, with 95% of critics recommending, and I can concur with that. I even find myself constantly wanting to make it to the next checkpoint and the next checkpoint despite initial intentions, only to play long enough to see how Steam Deck performs. If for some reason you haven't had a chance to play The Last of Us Part 2, I strongly recommend that you do, and if your only option is Steam Deck, the good news is that it works pretty good. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and find a lot more like it. Video games is a positivity-first gaming outlet. We believe that gaming should be a force for good. We focus on making uplifting content with constructive discussions and celebrating what makes games great. That's all for today, and until next time, be good to your fellow gamer, but more importantly, be better to your fellow human.